I am an educator. For the past 18 years, I've been working in the higher education sector. 10 years ago, I started working for a global fashion school with over 10 campuses across 3 continents. I grew from a tutor to a program leader fashion business to the chief operating officer of China and Asia Pacific. I have to say, my job keeps me excited every single day as much as my students. As an educator, we cannot change the future of any industry, but definitely we help to reshape that with the talents we cultivate. Fashion, that is a culture, and fashion, that is the language of everything. Sometimes, I have the feeling I have a superpower that is hidden, that I can predict the future. You just look at that student, she is going to become someone big. Or that student, he can be the next Chinese designer seen by the world. Why did I enter into such a specific industry specialization of the higher education, fashion, and luxury? That is a good question. Before answering that question, I have another question actually. Why did I choose France as the destination of my MBA? Probably not because I'm in Paris. Neither because France is the most romantic country. By the way, I checked the reference everywhere, and I cannot find any reference. And if you are going to France by thinking you are going to meet the most romantic people on earth, I think you are going to be upset. Why France then? So, as a lot of the audience here are Chinese, and I still remember in the elementary school, I learned one literature lesson in Chinese by Daudet, the last class, 最后一课, in which the young French boy finally understood the beauty of his language. And also, Maupassant's My Uncle Jules, 我的叔叔娱乐. And the uncle, the same person, was treated differently when he was rich and he was poor. France attracted me from his culture and art, from its literature and its writer, from its scientists and engineers. Madame Curie, probably you remember her in your chemistry book as well. France is very famous for its fashion and luxury. Coco Chanel, you probably know, is also the woman fashion leader, has changed the history of fashion. What is fashion for you? Some people tell me that fashion is about shopping. I'm so excited. Some people tell me fashion is about making people beautiful. Let me give you a more academic interpretation of fashion. I think fashion is about lifestyle. Fashion gives you a much more powerful way in expressing your personal identity. Coco Chanel, Gabrielle Chanel ever said, fashion is not just in the dresses only. Fashion is in the sky, is in the street. It is about the ideas, the way we live, and what is happening. And in the 2024 Summer Paris Olympic Games, Louis Vuitton has showcased the best case how the culture of brand is connected with the culture of the country. The same when Celine Dion was singing Lima l'amour while the Olympic rings is rising up. A lot of comments in the red Chinese social media and in the Instagram were actually about, look at that fabulous Dior Haute dress. Tell me, why would you buy a 20,000 RMB dress? Are you buying the fabrics? Are you buying the design? I would like to say you're buying actually the culture of the brand. Global luxury spending is expected to land near 1.5 trillion euro by the end of this year, remaining relatively flat and also facing some slowdown amid uncertainty. However, consumers still prioritize experience than the products. Luxury, fashion, retail experience, and offline experience have always been very crucial because this is in offline, and where you meet your customers, the brand is communicating the value to its consumer in a much more impressive and emotional way. The second-hand luxury also is representing a lot of the money out of the global industry as well. So more than ever today, if you want to succeed in the luxury and fashion business, you need to know about your customers. Who do you target? Who are your customers and what is their culture? Here are some pictures of my students. They're Generation Z, which is interesting is when I started teaching, in the beginning my students were Generation Y, then they become Generation Z, and now even more and more they're Generation Alpha. That reminds me of 2015 and 16 when I was still in Paris. There was Alessandro Michele's first Gucci collection. When that was out, all of a sudden, my students were wearing sleeping wears in the campus. And later on, there were a lot of beautiful, slim leggings of Lululemon around. So if you got your consumers right, you don't need to follow the trends, but you lead the trends. And also, the high spending of Generation Y will keep the same level, but the spending of Generation Z and even younger Generation Alpha is going to grow 3 times faster, and it's going to make up the third of the luxury business. So you need to know them better, this young generation. And also the luxury secondhand represents 12% of the luxury and fashion market. And there are some luxury second-hand market in China in the pictures, and as well as my students, I saw him cutting waisted rainbows and make this beautiful collection, and was later on exhibited in the museum. And I was thinking, so fashion and luxury is sustainable. We always define them in a circular fashion, not just from the manufacturing and the production by using sustainable materials, by using biodegradable fabrics, but also in the transportation and value chain, supply chain, and then to the retail, and also to the reuse of the already consumed goods. So luxury business started as a very sustainable business. It was about craftsmanship, about high quality that lasts forever. Luxury is also about slow movement, slow fashion, and in the end, I was also ran a case in Paris when I was program leader with the Vestiaire Collective, that is a very high secondary market and brand in France, with the objective to understand how can they increase the number of quality sellers. At the time, the business was going very, very well. And they had enough customers, but they cannot find enough sellers. So we divided our students into 3 groups by countries: France, Italy, and China. French people, as we know, they are very free and they're very flexible, and they sell what they don't like anymore, and they buy something that they like. There is not an issue. But the result was also very interesting for the Italians. Italians are less willing to buy second-hand luxury goods or sell second-hand luxury goods. Why is that? One of the interviewees in the focus group, they said, luxury is about heritage. It should be transferred from one generation to the other. And on the day of the presentation, we have a live example. I had one fashion marketing tutor that is Italian wearing an amazing Max Mara coat. She was so proud telling us that this coat was given to her by her grandma, and it was a gift from her grandpa to grandma in 1960s. Italians value families, like Chinese. A lot of people say we are similar. They are practical, they're flexible, and also, as Giorgio Armani said, that clothing that is not worn or not purchased is not fashion. Correct. Fashion is business. We need to make some money out of it. And I also had some students that are Asian and Americans. They always found it very difficult to pronounce those Italian names. Like, we can do the exercise together. Brunello Cucinelli, Salvatore Ferragamo, Roberto Cavalli. Italians value family. And what? They started as family business and they stay as family business. Last but not least, the Chinese group. The Chinese group of students at the time, they found out that the Chinese were not ready to sell the second-hand luxury products yet. The reason is also at that time, by then, a lot of Chinese were just started enjoying buying luxury pieces for the first time, not from the older generation. So at the same time, we also saw that in Japan in 2016, in Tokyo, this fantastic second-hand luxury market. Know what? 7-8 years later in China, in Shanghai, Hongqiao, you also see a similar market. We are catching up, Chinese. Chinese are very important clients. We know by 2030, China is going to account for 40% of the global luxury consumption. You probably ask me why I'm back in China now. Probably I never forgot my roots. I'm Chinese, for sure. And I also wanted my daughter to learn Chinese. But more importantly, I really want to witness and participate in the transformation from made in China to design in China. Listen to the heart of young Chinese generation, young designers. They are proud of their culture, going to the details, going to the profound culture of 5,000 years. In the design process, we help all these students to develop their ideas through the culture of China, from different regions, area, provinces. Here you see some example of the Chinese porcelain. Here you see also some example of Suzhou Garden or the tiger shoes. We started also to have some Chinese alumni and designers going on the international stage. Shu Xuanguo, she's from Shanxi, and she's Chinese, started in Australia and Paris. And she combined the East and the West culture, and also inspired from the Chinese goddess, the mother of the human being in the Chinese mythology, Yuwa. And she used these traditional techniques of knitwear as well as 3D printing. So when you see her collections on the London Fashion Week, you have the impression you're a time traveler from the past to the current and to the future. We also had Kiko Mao. We're so proud that he actually showed in the Milan Fashion Week this September as the closing show. And he deconstructed from the Beijing opera, the facial makeup, and using inspired from the Song brocades and its patterns. So I think we are getting there. And Chinese designers, given some time, given the right methodology, there will be very soon the next generation of the Chinese designers in the international market. So I also would like to say, I am a teacher. I'm also a mother. I don't want to tell my students or my kid what exactly they need to do, because how can I make sure what is right today is still relevant tomorrow? And the world is changing very, very fast, for sure. So here are some advices, and I hope it's useful for you, for all industries, not necessarily only in fashion and luxury industries. Number one, never stop learning. I have been in my comfort zone in my career several times, and every single time I was determined to leave the comfort behind. One of my previous boss, when I was in China, and he told me he is a French leader, led over 10,000 employees in an organization, that Yingting, you need to leave the country that you love. When you step out of the box, step out of where you are, you actually see it even better and clearer. It's like when you're going to be in the space, you see a clearer, blue, beautiful, complete earth. Number two, be open-minded and curious. I still remember when I did my MBA in France, and we were 25 students in a classroom with 18 different nationalities, and I was the only Chinese. And when we had this amazing economy class, and during the group work, I really have the impression I'm working in the United Nations, I'm representing China. When you open to other cultures, you will discover a new world. Analyze critically, otherwise we're going to be replaced by AI. In the beginning, I always find, well, there's nothing I'm worried about AI. It's just a tool. And it's just a compute on the basis of the historical data. But now more and more I understand, if you don't know how to be critical, how to analyze things critically, you will not be up to the trend and up to the future. I stayed a long time in France, and I found French people spend time to do two things. If there are French people here, don't be annoyed with me. But this is compliment, actually. They either complain or they listen to others to complain. That's a compliment. They are critical. They're never taking any decision, any statement for granted. They think. They analyze things critically. And this is, I think, what we need also for the future. Culture is transdisciplinary. Please develop transferable skills. And many times in your life, you would find what you've learned in the past maybe is no longer relevant. For example, I speak Chinese, English, and French, and now I work for Italians. And I did my international study of fashion luxury business in business area, but in the end, I am a fashion educator. So be open-minded and develop your transferable skills is very important. My mom always teach me to smile. She said, smile, make your friend comfortable, and make your enemy nervous. I don't know if you like to watch those TV shows of survival games that, again, my superpower to predict the future, you just look at who is the most positive, who is always smiling, no matter they are in front of challenges or in front of difficulties. The person would stay until the end. Yohei Yamamoto ever said, with my eyes turned to the past, I walk backwards into the future. So understand your own culture, embrace the others. Future is only relevant and meaningful with the value you stand for. Thank you very much.